There we go. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mike Chafee, District Governor for District 6330, and I welcome you to our second noon Zoom that's happening at 7 p.m. today. Because some of our folks said, hey, some of us are still working and had to go back to the office, so we're going to do this one at 7 o'clock tonight. So tonight's session is celebrating women's leadership in Rotary. And today is International Women's Day, recognized around the world. And if you've been out on Facebook, you've seen all kinds of Rotary congratulations and celebrations for celebrating women's leadership in our great movement. I have been celebrating women's leadership in our district all year as I've been going around and doing my club visits, recognizing those individuals that have just served at the district level or the club president level or all kinds of other things that the unique characteristics and talent sets that women bring to our great organization. So happy to all the young ladies on the call. Happy International Women's Day. We have an excellent program with two excellent speakers tonight. I think Catherine said that if you know someone who couldn't attend, we'll send a link out to all of you so you can share that link out on our YouTube channel so it can be viewed later on. This is a webinar, so we can't see you, but you can see us. So if you would do me a favor, if you have questions questions for our presenters, use the Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen. If you have things that you want Catherine, Sonia, or myself to know about, please use the chat function so we don't get those two mixed up. We will have questions and answers after each presentation. So start thinking about those things as they go through their presentations, things that you may want, pertinent questions you may want to ask later on. Our next series of these Zoom meetings is going to be on May the 10th. And that's going to feature Rotary President nominee Stephanie Urchek and past District Governor from Minnesota, Tom Gump. And their topic is going to be, this is not your grandfather's Rotary Club anymore. And it's going to focus on membership and attracting new members to your club. I want to thank Catherine and Sonia. Catherine is our district governor-elect who gave leadership to this for the most part.
I'm nominee.
Oh, nominee, I'm sorry. District governor nominee. I just want to jump the gun because I want to be done, so. And Sonia Glass, our district governor-elect, who have given leadership to this these noon Zoom presentations and making them possible. So with that and no further ado, I'll turn it over to Catherine to introduce our first speaker.
Thanks, Mike. So tonight I have the privilege of introducing you to Jean Aitcheson. So Jean was born and raised on a dirt poor farm in Eastern Ontario. She graduated as a registered nurse from the Ottawa Civic Hospital in 1964. And then she started what would become a 53-year-long career in nursing, 48 of them at the Stratford General Hospital in bedside, acute, and critical care. So in addition to that, she concurrently taught continuing education to RNs and RPNs for 35 years at Conestoga College. Once she was retired from that, she wanted to start up a scholarship fund so that every year in perpetuity, 2 high school students could receive significant assistance for their first year of nursing studies. Jean's first short-term humanitarian mission to Guatemala was in 1995, and it touched her so much that she, in return, ended up completing 37 more humanitarian trips, most of them as the team leader, in 10 different countries around the world. So since becoming a Rotarian 15 years ago, many of the team members were Rotarians, and many of the Rotary clubs became hosts for the clinics. So collecting medical supplies at home was necessary in order to have supplies for the team to work on mission, and so also to leave behind for continued care in the communities. 28 years later, Stratford Mission Depot now supplies many organizations airlifting or sending sea containers to countries with ongoing needs like Cuba, South Sudan, Malawi, Sierra Leone, and also disaster relief areas in Beirut, Lebanon, Ukraine, and now Turkey. So Jean is married to Ken for 54 years, now a retired farmer. He's also my cousin. He's just 2 married sons, one of whom farms the Aitcheson homestead, and they also have 5 grandchildren. She's an active member of several community organizations. So let me just do a little screen sharing here. See how this works. Go. So Jean is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, a member of, can you see that screen, Jean, with yours? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Member of the Paul Harris Society and the Rotary Bequest Society. Other awards include, this is a long list here. So the Queen Elizabeth II Golden Jubilee Medal in 2002 for nursing, and taking Canada beyond the borders of Canada. The Stratford 2014 Woman of the Year in Health and Wellness. The Rotary Service Above Self Award in 2017. The Stratford Senior Citizen of the Year in 2022. I want to make sure I get all these right, Jean. The Province of Ontario Senior Achievement Award in 2022. And most recently, she was named a member of the Order of Canada, which is Canada's highest civilian award, on December 29th, 2022, for her leadership of global humanitarian medical missions and her long-standing devotion to helping those in need. So, a long list of accomplishments and all well-deserved. Please join me in welcoming Jean Aitcheson.
Oh, thank you, Catherine, for that very kind introduction. And we look forward to you, being our district governor in the future. And happy International Women's Day, everyone. With new technology, I think we already have some international participants in this celebration. So, Catherine, thank you for the invitation for me to give some information about international humanitarian efforts that I and others have been doing for 28 years now. So this presentation will focus on the work of the Stratford Mission Depot, the collection and processing of donated medical supplies ready to send around the world to where they are desperately needed. My Rotary membership and the gathering of discarded medical items both resulted from short-term international mission team work. In 1995 was my first trip to internationally to Cochac, Guatemala. It was a building. We were building a Christian school and having a small medical clinic. And about 8 weeks before we were to leave, we asked the missionary, what will we have to work with? And she said, we will work with whatever you bring because there is absolutely nothing here. So that we had to scramble that first year in order to collect supplies. And then we decided the next year, well, then we were the team leaders. Okay, we will collect all year round. And it's really grown from there. So 16 years ago, a large construction and medical team went to Iquitos, Peru, right on the Amazon River. The missionary partnered with one of the 4 Rotary clubs in Iquitos, a club called Rotary Iquitos Amazonas, where aptly enough for today, 23 of the 24 members in that Rotary Club were women. And that was an incredible inspiration to me because they had the pulse on all of the needs of their community, and they were working so hard in order to meet those needs. I came home and inquired about Rotary in Stratford, and from there on, my life of service, has grown with great Rotary partnerships. So my own Rotary Club, Festival City Stratford, sponsored 5 medical teams, And Rotary clubs in Mexico, Peru, Guyana, Dominican Republic have been hosts to many outreach teams. And I was thrilled to participate in Rotoplast, a Rotary plastic surgery team to Bangladesh, repairing cleft lip and cleft palates and relieving burn scars and contractures. So my Rotary experience has been really incredible for me, and I certainly appreciate that. Catherine, the first slide.
You see that?
That's it.
Okay.
So the Stratford Mission Depot is just a group of volunteers, about a dozen altogether, dedicated volunteers who do the work. We are not a registered charity. We do not want to accept money. People find that hard to believe, but what we really want, are medical supplies. So we have been in numerous, about five different locations, thanks to community-minded people. Next.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
There we are. So we are currently in St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Stratford. So if you see the upper level to the left, we have 2,000 square feet there. We've been there for a little bit more than a year. And it's been absolutely incredible, because this past year has been the busiest that we've ever been. Thanks to the war in Ukraine. Next. So we're on the second level, but there is an elevator, and the church just replaced that elevator. It's a brand new elevator, probably not for their congregation, but for us. They're very much an outreach congregation, and we sure appreciate that elevator. Next. So this is the inside. We have 2,000 square feet here. And as you can see, with the murals, up towards the ceiling and stuff, we feel blessed, to walk into this space, to be able to work every day. Next. So here are, Ann Wood and Ray Maver, and I think Cam is there as well. So this is sort of the sorting space for the supplies. To the left, you will see the pharmacy, but we'll see that in a minute. Next. So these tables belong to the church. They said, can you use them? And so we accepted that. So we sent all of our old tables where we were before. They were really good tables. We sent them all to South Sudan. So we used the church's table so that they wouldn't have to discard them. Next. And next. So here we have sort of the shelving units and stuff, and even these shelving units are discarded and reworked. So, what you see in the front of you, and to the right, these used to be blackboards out of a school in Perth County. And the caretaker had cleaned the blackboards with something that were no longer hold chalk. So they all had to be removed. And one of our volunteers, Walter Mueller, he's been on many mission teams. He made these. They're all in a template. And Ann Wood, that I just mentioned, she's taken these apart and put them together about 10 times. So they all kind of fit together. And then we have the smaller shelves and stuff in the middle. So on the left-hand side ahead of you, those are all ostomy supplies. So we collect those, but we give those to the Ostomy Association in St. Catharines, and they send around the world. In the middle is all diabetic supplies. On the right, it says physio, but there's nothing there because we have packed everything to go to Ukraine. Next. So on the left are syringes and needles, intravenous starts, intravenous tubing, intravenous solutions, then syringes and needles, and straight ahead and to the right, that is all wound care supplies. So that is a huge need, not only around the world, but especially with Ukraine and now Turkey. So we responded at the end of the first week after the explosion in Beirut, Lebanon. And when the war in Ukraine started, we were contacted the end of that week, and we sent out, our first shipment. So you see a lot of bins there, and that's because we sort everything. Only one thing goes in a bin. So sterile 4x4s would go in one bin, but you wouldn't put unsterile 4x4s or sterile 2x2 gauze, in there. So everything is completely separated. When the bin is full, we put them into shoe boxes, and the shoe box is then labeled on the end and on the top, and with an elastic around it, and then it is ready to go. So we pack for our receivers. So, whether it's South Sudan or Turkey, whatever. So the last time we packed, went to Turkey, and the receiving agency said, we don't even have to open these boxes because we know exactly what's in there. On the right-hand side, there is, gloves and masks and that kind of thing. Gloves, of course, are needed, all over the world. When on my mission trips and stuff, I saw, gloves that were washed and reused, hung on the line to dry and reused. Next. So this is an extension. On the right-hand side, you see a green barrel there. We recycle everything that we can. All the paper, cardboard, plastic, everything is recycled. And we take that really very seriously. We do have a bit of garbage, but, not bad. Next. And these are solutions for wound care on the right. And on the middle and left, that is sort of diapers and briefs from preemie to 104. And some countries, thankfully, don't want them, like South Sudan, will not accept items like that. They would prefer, well, they only want flannelette diapers. So, for adults, and children and stuff. So we have a number of people who actually sew those. Next. We do collect school supplies, and most of those go to South Sudan or wherever they are requested. Next. So here we are with toothbrushes and stuff. So Colleen, the volunteer, is taking all of the packaging off of the toothbrushes. And so why on earth would we do that? I can't get any answers from the participants and stuff, so I'll have to tell you the answer. Well, first of all, space is very precious. So we don't want to take, anything that takes up any more space. What you see on the right would be garbage there, and in the developing world, they don't need any garbage. But the real reason is because we give everybody, that we're going to see on a medical team, all of our patients, all of our families, everybody gets a new toothbrush. But we give it to them without the package, because we learned that if we left the package on, it would be in the market the next day and sold maybe for a penny. So it's worth a lot more if they would just use the toothbrush. Next. So what you see ahead is that hockey bags. We take all of the supplies when we go on a mission team in hockey bags. The last team that we went to Dominican Republic, we took 72 hockey bags, each 50 pounds full. Thanks to WestJet. The first one was free with our ticket. The second one we paid $30 for. And the third one was a humanitarian bag given to us by WestJet. And of course, all of that we use out of those supplies, and then all of them are left behind for the continued use for and treating the patients in the community. Next. So here's an example of the packaging. These are sterile 4x4 gauze, and then that would be, the box would be labeled with an elastic put on it. We put on elastics because not tape, because if the tape is ripped off, then that spoils the box. And then of course, you know, the boxes are needed in the developing world in order to keep the product you know, clean and safe. Next. So here are boxes ready to go. So straight ahead, you see the ones with the check marks. That's all going to Cuba. And we've sent a lot of supplies to Cuba. They are desperate. We do get some outdated items. Most of the items we get now are in date, but Cuba is so desperate that they will accept supplies that have a 3-year out date. So, so we send, you know, a lot of things and stuff that they request. On the left, all of those are ready to go to Ukraine. And they are requesting, of course, mostly wound care supplies and intravenous catheter supplies, you know, gloves, masks, all of those kinds of things. Next. So here's some of the ways that we package it. So this is what is contained in that large box. So in here would be those shoe boxes with all of those items in there. Next. And again, yeah. So sterile saline for wound care. So we do put the dates on there. So 2023, 2024. So we put that on there so that the receiving organization knows exactly, you know, what the out date is. Next. So here are gloves. So in the spring, just a year ago, we were contacted by the Avon-Maitland District School Board to would we accept personal protective equipment. So they had been sent all of this equipment, but then of course the children weren't in school for a long time. So there were isolation gowns, you know, masks, gloves, shields, face shields, you know, all manner of PPE, including soap, hand soap, and hand sanitizer. So Rotary Grand Bend, you know, has a great relationship with the school board, you know, accepting supplies, you know, out of schools. So together, you know, we work to distribute 400 skids worth of medical supplies, of personal protective equipment. So it's taken a long time. I think we're almost down to the end of it. But of course, you know, the receiving agencies are really happy to get that too. Next. So here is soap at the foreground here, and there's hand sanitizer at the back. Hand sanitizer is one of the things that we couldn't get rid of very well because, of course, it's alcohol, it's flammable, and it can only be shipped in a sea container or in an airlift under very special circumstances. So what you see here, you know, was going to another agency and stuff. So soap and hand sanitizer, but it has a date on it. And we had to distribute that before the out date. Otherwise the school board wouldn't even give it to us in order to distribute. Next. So here, this is going to, there's Brian Hall in the right, in the red jacket. And he was there that day helping us move. He's from Grand Bend Rotary, but all of these items were going to the Stratford Rotary Club Home and Leisure Show last year. So everybody who attended was given a bottle of soap. Thank you very much, or a bottle of hand sanitizer. Next. So the largest items that we accept are wheelchairs and walkers, canes and crutches. We do, we want to know whether there's an electric bed or something like that, but we just don't have space to accept that. Next. So this is the pharmacy, and this is kind of my billywhack. A regular pharmacy would be A to Z, but the medications on the shelf are A to Z according to what is going to be treated. So whether it's psychiatric, whether it's, cardiac and blood pressure, whether it's, female or if it's antibiotics or, whatever. So it's A to Z on those shelves. Next. And so this is Cam, who, helped me set up, all of that. And next. So as you see, there are, stock bottles and stuff here. We have a whole system of accepting medications. We accept over-the-counter medications, and also people's personal medications and stuff that we have the original stock bottle that those personal medications, can go into. So they're never sent in people's own containers and stuff. Next. And here's the workroom. So all kinds of, punching out doctor samples, that kind of thing. We have a regular crew, volunteers and stuff, and it's a busy spot. Next. So here we have, so these are doctor samples of a diabetic medication. And so we don't take any of the packaging. I would make a bottle out of the packaging and then punch the medications out, because there was just too much, garbage and too much packaging. Next. And here are some of the ways and stuff that it goes into new packaging and stuff. Next. And items and stuff. So we ask for all medications. We use what we can, and then what we can't, we correctly dispose of into these, pails, just as it would if they went to the pharmacy. Next. And all of these are ready to go to Ukraine. So as I said, at the end of the first week, we put out the call for medications and people's medical supplies and stuff. And they responded like you wouldn't believe. So, but they wanted, medications that were in date and the bottles are sealed. So those are all brand new. Next. And here are some of the, this was all going to be packaged up to go to Ukraine. Next. And here are the boxes to go in the very first shipment. This is all medications. Now, the receiving organization even wanted the pills counted. So that was easier than what you might think. I didn't have to count every one. But anyway, so we're able to give them a list of all of that. Next. And this is interesting. This was going to Ukraine. So we've given to a number of organizations. What you see there, those papers and those little crocheted, those are miniature prayer shawls. So they've been made by the Presbyterian women in this area. We put them in every box. Now, Rotary is non-political and, of course, absolutely secular, but they were in the box, and we didn't know that Rotary was going to accept these and ship them to Ukraine. The interesting thing with us is we got pictures back of the supplies and stuff that we had sent, accepted by Rotarians. And it was so touching to me because one of the boxes that they showed was this box, this very box with the miniature prayer shawls in it. So it obviously meant something to them that people here in Canada, were actually praying for them. Next. And here we're sending out. So this is Anne and Ron, and we're taking all the boxes off the shelves, ready to go out the door. We feel like it's Christmas. We feel like it's Christmas when we receive all of the supplies and stuff, and we feel like Santa Claus the day that we ship everything out. So next. And using that elevator, thank goodness. There's Brian Hall from Rotary Grand Bend next. And so this cart fits exactly into the elevator. So it really, really helps things out whenever we're actually moving in or moving out. Next. So here are receiving congratulations and for one of the first shipments that went to Ukraine, and this was through the Ukrainian Canadian Medical Association of Ontario. The chap on the striped sweater on the right, that's Stu McCutcheon, and he's the chap that goes to South Sudan and accepts a lot of our supplies there. Next. And this is a shipment going to Cuba with friends to Cuba. And again, we send a lot there. So that's Jennifer Raymer from London. And she has sent a lot of containers, and she personally goes and takes teams to Cuba. Next. So this is the kind of truck that we pack, that the receiving organization sends to accept our supplies. And we have filled that truck 10 times in this last year. Many of them going to Ukraine, but also Cuba. And at the end of the first week of the earthquake in Turkey, we filled that truck. We had a shipment ready to go to Ukraine, and neither one of the organizations that accept our supplies could send it. So, off it went to Turkey. Next. So in order to make it efficient, we move everything outside. Hopefully it's a good day, and then we can fill that truck. Next. And next. And next. And onto the truck it goes. So as I said, we feel like Santa Claus, when we're sending this out. Next. And there's those shipment of medications, and that is so they're so thankful to get that. Next. And here we are. So, and next. And next. And there. So when this happens, when that truck is full, then that is our payday. We feel so good, being able to send all of the supplies and stuff that have been given to us, that we've had the pleasure of processing, and they are now off, to where they're needed. We always say that the supplies don't do anybody any good sitting on a shelf. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll just, answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jean. So if you have a question, you want to just put it in the Q&A box, and we'll get to those. So Malcolm asks, how do you get your supplies?
That's a great question. So we pick up regularly from the hospitals, from a nursing home, from hospice, from community nursing agencies are a wonderful source, because once supplies go into a home and now, the patient is healed or whatever, then they can't go back to the office. They can't go to another home. So they're told, put them in the landfill. And it's an absolute travesty for any valuable medical supplies to go into landfill.
Right. Okay.
And lots of individuals just call us up and say, I have this, can you use it?
Right. Okay. So I think we're going to move on to our next speaker now, if that's okay with everyone. Sonia, can I give you the virtual mic?
Thank you, Catherine. So I have the pleasure of introducing Deurence. Deurence is an honorary member of the Global Passport Club. She is a hardworking go-getter with a penchant for helping vulnerable, especially women, youth, and children. She's a trained statistician and project management specialist with a keen eye on evidence-based programming. Deurence has over 14 years working on anti-poverty, human rights, and humanitarian response initiatives in both civil society sector and the Kenyan government. She has a deep passion for empowering communities, and that's led her to joining Rotary in 2015 as a charter member of the Rotary Club of Kisumu Central in District 9212 before moving on to establish the Rotary Club of Kisumu Mashariki, I hope I got that right, in 2019. She has served her club and district in various capacities and has been a presenter and panelist in the World Water Summit in 2017 to 2020. She's also a global WASH ambassador for Africa under Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Rotary Action Group, WASH Reg, and she is also a Paul Harris Fellow. In her free time, which it looks like she doesn't have much, she mentors rural adolescent girls while providing them with sanitary towels to improve their education outcomes. She's a champion of Smart Girlhood Initiative, a movement that provides an enabling environment for vulnerable girls and young women to acquire adequate social assets and skills for successful womanhood. This initiative, a partnership with Rotary clubs in Kenya and Canada, has reached over 2,500 girls in rural communities in Kenya with sanitary towels, undergarments, and hygiene education. Deurence also enjoys reading books, listening to music, and spending time with her family. We're looking forward to hearing from you, Deurence.
Thank you so much, and a happy International Women's Day to everyone on call. Indeed, it is a pleasure to share this platform with very great women. Jean, thank you so much for the good work that you do. I'm really inspired by the work that you do, and I could see in the chat someone saying that they're currently using your supplies, and that is a very, very heartwarming to me to find that someone I know is actually benefiting from the work that you do. So that is really good. I'm here to share my experience on how I've been able to work with women and girls through WASH to transform education in education institutions in rural parts of Kenya. But I've also been able to work with young women within the communities just to also try and improve their livelihoods. So a bit more about myself. I am a firstborn daughter to in a family of 8. I have 7 siblings, and that has put me in a position of leadership right from childhood. And my father was an artisan. My mom was a peasant farmer, so there wasn't much to write home about. I grew up experiencing poverty right at home and even within the community. We would oscillate between the urban home and the rural home. And in both instances, I experienced poverty, but the poverty that touched me most is what I felt in the rural area, and that was the poverty of water. And that is what led me to be very passionate about WASH issues. I had been helping around people I knew, my cousins, with the supplies I wouldn't use anymore, some shoes, a pair of a dress here and there. But these were people who were known to me, but I wanted a platform where I could reach someone who is little known to me. And that's what led me to joining Rotary in 2015. I joined the Rotary Club of Kisumu Central, as a charter member, and I served as their 3rd club president. Something happened in 2016 that changed my life completely. I had traveled to support a training for one of the global grants that was supported by a sister club within my locality or municipality, as you may call it. and I traveled to a small little island near the border of Kenya and Uganda. It takes you about 4 hours on water to reach that small island. And a lot of things that I saw there really changed my thinking. I was wondering, when I was transitioning from primary school to secondary school, something happened to me. And I knew that in this life, I had now to stand for myself as a girl, as a woman. And I was wondering, who is going to stand in for the girls who do not have a voice, who felt like their space was constrained? And I thought that would be me. So in 2016, when I went to this small island, I found that space. And I want to tell you a little bit about this island. So this is the picture of the island. I arrive and I find women, children, men. It's a busy place, and the lake is all they have. It's about 10 kilometers square, quite small. Tin houses is what you get, what you'd call shanties. The water is quite contaminated because everything happens on the lake. That is their bathroom. That's where they get to have a shower. That's where they do their laundry as well. Utensils, that's where they get the water for domestic use. The fishing happens there, and this is an economy that is controlled by fish. And they clean the catch there, and the oil from the engine boat gets to the lake as well. So it's quite contaminated water that you have there. And when you look at the sanitation aspects of it, garbage is all over. There are pigs, there are ducks, roaming animals, fish waste is right at the shore, even into the water. And when you take a walk on this island, early morning or late in the evening, you will witness girls, women, men, and boys defecating openly because there is no toilet in this, there was no toilet in this island. And this is what the Global Grant did. They implemented a water and sanitation project. And you can see this was taking the raw lake water, the dirty water that I've just shown you, purifying it through a filtration system, pumping it into tanks, reservoir tanks, and then supplying it to points within the island where the communities that live on that island could access it. And they were paying a minimal fee just to be able to pay the water kiosk attendant and few operational costs that they were incurring, including paying a water engineer who would come from time to time just to ensure that the system is working efficiently. We also were able to teach or train the water committee on how to clean the filters so that this is something they would do from time to time to maintain the water. On the last picture, you will see the sanitation component of this project. We were able to do a 19-door toilet, and that was such a transformation for a place where there was no toilet before. People were defecating in the open. 19 doors of toilet blocks meant a lot. And the island is quite rocky, so we couldn't do pit latrines. So we did what we call Aitcheson toilets. These are environmental friendly toilets. And whatever we collected as was used as manure or fertilizer in a different section of the island, just to try and also cultivate some fruits, bananas, and vegetables for consumption within the island. So in 2-3 years, the transformation on the island was remarkable. And while I was on this island, I was just out of curiosity. I went to the nearby school, the only primary school on the island. They didn't have a secondary school that time. And I spoke to the girls because the environment was quite busy for any young girl to cope up. There was a lot of money in circulation, and anyone vulnerable would fall prey into the fishermen lures because they had a lot of money from the fish catch that they did. And I asked the girls, where do you get your sanitary products? Because that is something I struggled with growing up. And they told me they use pieces of cloth, they use pieces of tissue paper, they use sponges, they use old pieces of blankets, and I was so touched. And I told myself, is there something that I can do for this girl on this island? Remember, my desire was to help someone that I didn't know. And on this island, I didn't have a relative, I didn't have a cousin, my sister was not living there, my family was not on this island. And I told myself, the next time I come on this island, I will bring you a present. And when I asked the girls, what would you want me to bring you? Some were saying, bring us candies, bring us chocolates. But I said, I'll see about that and I'll come with something. So the following quarter, when I went back to do follow-up trainings and monitor this particular project, I carried sanitary towels, and we were able to conduct our maiden distribution on the at the primary school. Young girls were able to find the precious commodity they had not used for a long time. And we were able to, me and a few friends of mine, actually one friend of mine who accompanied me to the island, we were able to educate these girls on how to keep themselves as girls. They were quite young, as you can see from the pictures. These are girls between the ages of 8 to 12, 14, thereabout. 50 girls that day got sanitary towels. And we were amazed that even teachers could not get access to this precious commodity. So in Kenya, there is a law that the government should provide sanitary towels to primary schools and secondary schools. But because of the distance, because of the marginalization that has happened, those products do not reach girls. And they were so happy. And a few girls who had not been listed by the teachers because they had not started their menses actually cried because they wanted this precious commodity that they could not access on the island. And many of the girls were able to get this. Later, I was able to do this in another primary school in a different village where the need was also dire, where I had also grown up and seen that indeed there is no hope for a young girl in this community except to rely on handouts from a motorbike or a motorcycle rider who would want them to sleep with them so that they could get $50 or $1 to buy sanitary towels. And when I was doing this, I did not have money. I did not have any resources. I did not have any support from my friends. What I did is I took 10% of my salary and bought these girls sanitary towels and some underwear. And when we were training them, a girl really came up to me and told me, thank you so much. I now have something to use because if you did not bring me some underwear, I couldn't have any place to wear this because I don't have them. And you could see the girls were really happy. They were quite appreciative. I still go back to this island once every year, except during COVID, just to meet the girls. And we have that personal connection with the girls on this island. It's my favorite place in Kenya to go. So you'll see later on, we distributed, you see girls with their goodies, as we call them. We call them goodies or dignity pack. You can see on this middle picture, we are conducting sessions where we are training young girls about menstrual hygiene, about health education, about how they would handle peer pressure and the like. And we conduct this with friends who are trained in this field so that they're able to support the girls get the right kind of education. Besides that, I've also been able to participate in water activities in my country. I've been able to conduct a needs assessment. So that means that you are walking along with the women. They take you to where they get their water, and you can see how murky the place looks like. You can see the type and quality of water that women are collecting to take back home for their use. I've been able to conduct focus group discussions, just trying to understand in depth what are some of the salient issues that affect women and girls within communities. And who better to talk to than their fathers, than their elders, than their grandfathers, who now tell us a lot about even cultural issues that affect girls and women in these communities. doing the water assessment means that you are present in these water collection points. Perhaps you're not talking to anybody or just having light moments with the women, but you're really trying to look into issues like distance, like quality of water, like scarcity of the water itself that affect girls and women within this community. I've been to schools just trying to understand what do girls go through as far as menstrual hygiene is concerned. And the biggest problem that you find is that girls do not have access to sanitary products. Girls rely on handouts from men who take advantage of their vulnerability. And as a result, most of them drop out because they have these unplanned pregnancies. They are initiated into womanhood so early without any idea of what they are able or what they can do to keep themselves and have a healthy family. I've also been to some healthcare facilities. I've done some work around value for money audits within healthcare facilities. And just out of curiosity and my passion for women, I take a walk to the maternity wing and just see where the environment in which women bring life into this world. And in this slide, you will see a few of the facilities. In the middle is a maternity block that was constructed by the county government, but that maternity block is not in use. Why? Because it does not have water. The delivery beds have been brought, it's well furnished, but there is no water in that maternity wing, so you cannot use it. So they are makeshift. You can see a tin latrine that is a makeshift toilet. So that, and it is very far from the delivery room or the maternity wing. So the woman in her maternity has to make a trip, a dreaded trip to just go to the washroom and help herself. And it is a dangerous place because sometimes these toilets collapse because they're not well constructed. All the soil structure cannot support their well-being. Just have a look at what is at the top right of this slide, and you will see the kind of environment that women are delivering, and you'll see the sink. It has not been in use for some time. There's no water. The environment is dirty. And these are some of the things that affect even the newborn children right from birth. Currently, we have done a lot. We've gone to schools supporting girls. I have been in communities talking to young women, perhaps who did not have an opportunity just to get an education, but were initiated into womanhood quite early. I have gotten support, immense support from my friends from Rotary. And currently I am working on a Kenya WASH for Girls project. This project is the fulcrum or the pivot of this project is water treatment by solar disinfection. So what happens is that you get water from the water source. You can see the first picture. Whatever you see, the brownish stuff, that is the water that is available in my village for use by humans and livestock alike. So what happens when you do or when you conduct solar disinfection of water is that you collect the water, you decant it. We have provided communities or households with a substance that can help them to decant the water. It is friendly, so it has no adverse effects on their health, and that helps them to decant the water. After they decant the water, we have provided them with PET bottles. These are transparent plastic bottles that the sun rays can penetrate. And we've also supported these households construct water tables where they can keep the water in the sun for 8 hours. And that transforms the chemical composition of that water completely. It becomes safe. The bacteria in the water all die because of the sun rays that the UV rays, the ultraviolet rays that are able to penetrate in the bottle and just get the water clean. And you can see the difference between the water from the river and what we have on the tabletops in front of the household, it is now clear. And when I do my monitoring rounds with the team, the communities, the households, this is water that they have put in pots, because we do not have refrigerators in the villages. They put the water in pots, it gets cold, and they're able to drink it. This is water they use for cooking. This is water they use to clean their utensils, and we have trained them on how to ensure that there's no secondary contamination of this water. And we have seen a drastic change as far as the prevalence of dysentery and diarrheal diseases or any other stomach complications is concerned, because this water is now clean and free from the bacteria that it was collected with from the river. Apart from that, we support girls at the secondary school, which is the largest education institution within the village. It has about 138 girls. The number keeps changing over the years as new joiners come in, but we've supported each girl with also PET bottles and constructed tabletops within the school so that they're able to treat their own water while they're at school. And what happens when that water is treated is that the entire school population is able to use that water over lunch hour for drinking alongside the school meal that they get at school. Apart from that, we support in a big way these girls to get reusable sanitary towels. So the problem initially was that we couldn't, there was so much pressure, the demand was so high, and I told you earlier I was setting aside 10% of my salary to support girls with sanitary products. But when girls or communities saw this, they would come back for more. They would request, why don't you support us? Why are you not in our school? And it became overwhelming for me, even for my friends who would from time to time support me. So I thought, why not introduce the reusable sanitary towels to these girls, which would be much cheaper. They would use it for a longer time, and we'll also come in to train them on how to make this reusable towels so that anyone who wants to make a living out of that can do it. But they didn't have water, and that's what gave birth to the water treatment by the solar disinfection that I've taken you through. So the reason we're having girls treat water at school is that once a month, when they have their menses, they're able to set aside some clean water to use to clean their their reusable sanitary towels. And it's made of cloth. It is comfortable. If you see on the last slide, it is well packaged in a colorful bag. The girls love it, and they appreciate that they have now a safe and secure way of being in their menses. They are no longer missing school at least 5 days every month, and that would translate to a lot of time out of school. So by the time they get back to school, they're not even able to catch up with their counterparts. And you find that boys were topping the classes. But now when you go to the classes, we have girls who have started coming up, they're getting good grades. The final part or the final phase of this project is to train the girls on basic tailoring skills. And I have identified a tailoring expert within the community who is a woman who also went through the situation that most of the girls in this school went through. And we have bought tailoring machines and sewing notions from with the support that we get from the Rotary Club of London South in Ontario, Canada. And we are rolling out the classes this month. So the classes will be happening over the weekends at the school, and girls have been put into groups. They come in and learn basic tailoring skills. The end game is any girl who is interested in sewing or making the reusable sanitary towels would have a starting point. They will have some basic training such that even if they do not perform so well, or because of one reason or the other, they're not able to proceed with their education beyond secondary school, they already have a technical skill. They can be employed to make garments. They can have their own tailoring shops and make uniforms and the like. We've also supported very vulnerable girls within the school, about 20 girls with the school uniform, and that is full school uniform from head to toe, with the support of my friend Camilla and Pat, who are on this, who are also attending this webinar, and also partly with the support of Rotary Club of London South. So in my club, we also have our signature project is also around WASH in schools. And this is the work that we have done in pictures. I know the pictures might be a bit small, but I guess you can see that we are going into schools to educate girls, talk to boys as well, to be able to live with girls peacefully and coexist with them in a peaceful environment. Even when the girls are not in school, we are moving into the community during the holidays to talk to them, because it is during the holidays that we lose a lot of the girls. You will find one girl has not reported back to school. When you try and trace them, they fell pregnant, or they feel and now they feel it is not time for them to come to school, or someone lured them into marriage, so they're not able to come back to school. We go to these schools and distribute sanitary towels. We teach the girls about taking good care of themselves. Over COVID, we were able to provide hand washing facilities and water storage facilities within the schools. My Rotary Club and I still do the disposable sanitary towel distribution, because the reusable have not been distributed to all parts of all the schools that we target. But over time, gradually, we are moving into reusable towels. So you can see that a lot is going on to support girls, even with uniform and shoes. Some girls go to school barefoot. And this gives me a lot of hope. It gives me a lot of inspiration when girls share their experiences. And you see that because of that little support that you gave a girl, because of that one packet of sanitary towel, that those 2 pieces of underwear that I gave a girl through Smart Girlhood Initiative that I run in Kenya to target vulnerable girls, they're able to keep off unplanned pregnancy. They're able to focus on their studies. Their education outcomes are improving, and you get girls, they're able to proceed with school, they're able to take good care of themselves, and that gives me a lot of hope. So in my Rotary life, I've also been able to share my experience globally. I was a speaker, or rather I have been a speaker in World Water Summit, right from when it was in Atlanta to recently when it was in Germany. And sharing experience is preaching this gospel around how WASH is transforming education outcomes for girls in Kenya. I've also had an opportunity to attend those international events, and this is the latest that I did. This was Houston last year. I wasn't a speaker, so I got a good time just to go around the sessions, listen to what other Rotarians are doing around the world, go to the House of Friendships and see what is actually happening. Of course, I have made long-term friends in the water, sanitation, and hygiene rag, and the WASH rag as well. And something special happened when I went to the Houston convention. My friend John, who is a member of the Rotary Club of London South, invited me over to Canada, and I had to cross through Detroit to go into Canada. And one of the days when I was in Canada, John and her Rotary Club and her club president, Hector, who is also on this webinar, hosted me for an evening party, and there they presented their support or their continued support to the Kenyan girls that I support. I also visited Jill, who is a charter president for Days for Girls, and I was able to learn a lot about the reusable sanitary towels, which I got some supplies to bring into my country. And this is really encouraging for me that I have friends all over the country who support this initiative that I run here in Kenya. So what is being a leadership forum? What is that thing? What is my call to action for girls and women, young women, older women, wherever they are, who want to take up something to do within their communities. First is that you need to identify that specific thing that you want to do and excel at it. And that's what I call carving your niche. You have to know what exactly do I want to do and do it excellently. Start with what you have, because when I was going to that island for the second time with the sanitary towels for the 50 girls and the 3 teachers, all I had was my income from my day job. And I put aside some of it just to support the girls. I did not wait for a grant. I did not wait for a donor to give me some money, or for my friends to collect some funds for me that I would use to support the girls. So I supported the girls with what I have. I started with what I had and preached the gospel throughout to get people to come on board and support it. So as you support these girls, you think and act. So what do? You network, you be courageous and consistent about your mission, about your focus, because most of the time you will not get people to believe that just providing sanitary towel for a girl to help them stay in school would turn around the life of this girl. So just being courageous to put your ideas out there and be consistent is very important. The next thing is that you need to network, because within those networks, be they local, be they global, there is that value that it adds to your efforts. There's that value that comes with getting people around to support your cause. And as you do all this, be the lighter of other girls' and women's candles, because not every girl has that opportunity or has that privilege to be part of or to be in an empowered position. So what do you do as someone who's already seen the light? You light their candles for them. I believe that every girl has a voice. It's not that they need to find a voice. It's only that they need to be empowered to be able to use that voice to support themselves. And every other person then has to listen to this girl who is trying to make her ideas known, herself heard by the rest of us. So that's all I wanted to share. I have a lot and the pictures are so many, and we would talk about this for hours and hours, but I now take it back to the organizers, Sonia and Catherine, just to also take some questions if there are any. Thank you so much.
Deurence, thank you so much for your very enthusiastic presentation and your bravery and generosity within your community. We do have one question that was posed, and the question is around family planning supplies and whether or not that is something that you see being asked for within your communities.
Yes, it is. The number of children a woman has really shapes their livelihood, and we are also educating them on the use of family planning, though we are not providing the supplies yet. But you find that as much as we preach to the girls about abstain and not being sexually active while they are in school, we know that girls are still sexually active, and a few of them are still falling pregnant. So we teach them about family planning, but we do not provide any supplies. So we are really open to supplies that could support these girls, except that we need to be very incorporative in introducing these supplies to be used by the girls, and probably connect with a facility, a health facility, that would be dispensing these to girls that cannot abstain.
Okay, thanks for that. There's another question as well. Deanna is asking whether or not you've seen a change in attitude over time from the young men regarding the girls' menses.
Yes, when we started this, I was the enemy of motorcycle riders in my village, but now they come to appreciate it. I didn't show it in the pictures, but once in a while we have conversations with the communities And the people that we target to attend these sessions are the men. And when they come, we talk about them giving the girl a chance to go to school. Over time, we have seen fathers or even young fathers supporting their girls to go to school. They even say, now I can put aside part of my income to be able to get sanitary towels for my girl. And that is a big change in attitude for me. In the community, you'll find that parents would give priority to their boys to go to school. So when you have two children, a boy and a girl, both of them are back to school, back home for school fees, the parent will prioritize to pay for the boy's school fee while the girl is still at home helping, with household chores. But now we see a lot of prioritization of girls' needs. It is not complete transformation yet. It is a journey, and social and behavior change takes time, and I'm cognizant of that fact. But I'm also proud of the small steps that we have made so far, especially with the men supporting girls and even the boys in school, because some of those pregnancies are from the boys, they are classmates. So we've been able to talk to them about how they can support girls during their menstruation. If the girl is not in school, they will support her now to catch up, but they will also not bully them or jeer at them or laugh at them when perhaps they get soiled during their menses or something like that. Yes.
Good. Well, thank you for that, Deurence, and that's very positive. Deanna, thanks for that question. That was great. Any other questions that we have this evening? I don't see any further. Jean and Deurence, wow, what a great evening. You have really helped us celebrate women's projects and around the world. Just fabulous. Mike, do you have anything to finish off?
I just wanted to re-emphasize during my presentation to club visits, I said, if we're going to change poverty in the world, we need to focus on girls. And I'm a firm believer of that. That's one of Jennifer Jones and Shaker Mehta, our last two international presidents' focus has been on empowering girls and bringing girls up, bringing their station in life up to the rest of the world. So I appreciate all of the clubs that are represented here and the projects that you do around the world and helping to make girls' place in this world better for them and better for all of our communities. So with that, thank you again for attending, and we wish you all a good night and see you on May the 10th for our next session. Catherine, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Mike. So like we said at the beginning of the session, we have recorded this. So if you would like to view it again, or you have friends that weren't able to view it, we will be sending out that YouTube link. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you all again in May. So thanks very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Jean and Deurence, for those inspirational talks. It's been a great way to celebrate women in Rotary. So have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Our pleasure.